Welcome to the course on R programming. This is Praveen Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of IT, VFSTR deemed to be University. We are discussing about Unit 3. Under Unit 3, in last session, we have learnt how to use logical operators and Boolean operators in order to select the values. We have learned that how these logical operators are used to select the values from our objects. In this session, we are going to go further and we are going to learn how to use this program development strategy. Let us see the contents of this lecture. Here the first point is program development strategy. This program development strategy is in two ways. One is sequential, another one is parallel. How this strategy is helpful to develop one particular program, we are going to learn in this lecture. And how these if-else conditions are useful to achieve this parallel concept, parallel strategy concept. And how these lookup tables are useful, and ultimately one project we are going to develop, that is a slot machine, and entire slot machine we are going to build with the help of these strategies, and we are going to use this if-else conditions to achieve this program or task. Let's get into the topic. Come to this program development strategy. This strategy says a first point is break the complex task. Suppose we have taken one particular task, and if that task is a complex one, it comprises many conditions, then what we have to do is that first we have to break that into simple conditions or simple steps. So that is the first strategy. Break the complex task into simple subtasks. Small tasks we have to divide. Then use concrete examples. For example, I want to write a program to find out that whether a given number is prime or not. So to develop this program, we have to take a concrete example and need to check that one. For example, if I have taken 23, so is it a prime number or not? We have to see. For this one, the logic how we have to develop is, we have to check it from number 2 to this 23. And we know that the value, when we call it as a prime number, if the value is between 2 and itself, any other value divides that properly, that is the value it is going to return is 0. The quotient is going to return, the remainder is going to return 0, then we can call it as a prime number. So as a concrete example, once we have developed a strategy, we need to take a number and need to check that one, whether is it giving correct value or not. Correct answer is not with this number. And finally, describe your solution in English. So whatever the solution we write, we develop, we think that we have to put it in English words. That for example, consider number 23 and divide the number from 2 to 23 and check that other than 2 and 23, if any number divides it properly, then we can call it as not prime if no number divides, then we can call it as prime. This way, to understand it thoroughly, we have to put it in English words, and there we have to write down some pseudocode kind of thing, like the conditions. Okay. If 23 is mod 2 double equal to 0, and this in place 2, next it has to come 3, 4, 5. So to do this one, we have to use a for loop kind of thing. Okay, and here we have to go with 1 to 23 numbers we have to check. Like this, step by step we have to analyze, and we have to write down it in English words. Then we are going to get some idea. Later, whatever the programming language you are going to use, you have to convert. In our case, it is R language, so we are going to convert that English language steps into R code. So this is how the strategy works. The first task is that a complex task should divide into subtasks, then take some concrete examples and solve that with pen and paper, and finally you put the solution in English words so that you can understand it thoroughly. Later you write the program. So this is the strategy we are going to use. Let's start the journey with the project, that is slot machine, and you will be shown a video related to this slot machine. The video shows that a set of symbols are going to be randomly chosen. If the symbols are in a proper order, you will be given some prize, you will be allocated, or else it's not. This is what you might have identified. Now let's try to understand this slot machine here. This is a generally in foreign countries, in casinos, they'll use this slot machine kind of thing. You will be given some coins, and using that coin you are going to spin that wheel. You are going to spin that wheel, or you are going to press the button. Once you press the button, what will happen is it's going to spin for some time, and ultimately you will be shown some symbols. Here in our case, 3 symbols are going to be shown, and out of 7 symbols, 3 symbols out of 7 symbols. In short, you are going to see what are going to be the symbols. So out of the 7 symbols, 3 symbols are going to be shown, and once the symbols are shown, immediately for that symbols how much prize money is allocated, in background it is going to be calculated, and that amount is going to be displayed to you or dispensed to you. This is how the slot machine is going to work. I am going to repeat you once again. There are going to be 7 symbols, and once you press the button, the machine is going to circle, it is going to revolve, and finally it's going to generate 3 symbols out of the 7. Like this, here you can see this is 1 slot, this is 2nd slot, and this is 3rd slot. 1, 2, 3 slots. So in this slot you may get out of 7 any one symbol, and in this slot you may get any symbol out of that 7, and the prize money is going to be depends on the symbol set you got. Okay. That's going to be the slot machine. Now a target is that such slot machine we have to develop using our program. Let us see that how we are going to achieve this task. So this entire task is divided into two steps. One is generating 3 symbols out of 7 symbols, and once you generated these 3 symbols, we have to compute the score, that's the prize money for those 3 symbols we have to do. So one step is that generating the 3 symbols, and the second step is how much money we have to allocate for those 3 symbols. Broadly, if we see, this entire slot machine is going to be shown in these 2 steps. Let's get into the deeper about this slot machine, and we'll understand that, because to develop a program we have to understand the problem statement thoroughly, then we can go for the development. Let's see what are the symbols we are going to use here. So DD, this DD is generally called as diamond. It's a diamond symbol, and this is 7, and these 3 are called the bars. Bar, BAR, bar. Okay, triple B, double B, and single B. This C is called generally cherry. Cherry symbol, and this is 0. You won't get anything if you get this 0. So these are the 7 symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 symbols. So out of these 7 symbols, we have to randomly generate. Here in quotes, the word is randomly. So randomly you have to generate these 3 symbols, and finally using for these 3 symbols we have to give the prize money. This is the task. Okay, so now small idea we are getting for this point is randomness. So we have already learned we have a function called the sample. This sample function is going to take a set of population and a set of values, how many values you wanted to identify, that is the sample, and out of this population, this total values, it's going to return you some set of values. Okay, that to be in a randomly, and here we can mention the probability of the values also. So this is how the sample function is going to work. So the R code for these 2 points, that is okay, how to define the symbols and how to randomly generate the 3 symbols. Okay, if you see these codes, so here symbol C is my vector. How we have created with these 7 symbols, I have created the vector. Okay, and what I have done, these symbols I have passed to the sample function, as sample is a function which is used to generate the random values. So I passed the symbols. This is my population, that is the total set. Out of this total set, what I have to generate is a size of 3 values. A size of 3 values I have to generate. And this is an important one, replacing. Whether the values have to get repeatedly or not. This is the point. I'll give a detailed explanation about this replace one. And come to this probabilities. With which probability each and every symbol has to appear or to be selected, we are mentioning. If you observe, this is 0.52. In the sense, 50%, more than 50% of times the 0 has to be selected. It is saying that. Okay. And if you check this one, 0.03 and 0.03, very less probability. With less probability, the sample function has to select this diamond and the 7. Why? Because these two symbols having lot of prize money. Because of that, these symbols have to be selected very less frequently, and that is given here, the probability. Okay. So the sample function having 4 parameters. One is the total values, and from this selected how many values we want to select, then a replace argument and probability argument, like 4 values we have. Come to this replace equal to true means what? So let us see with an example. See, we have 7 symbols and if I place replace equal to true, there is a possibility to generate one symbol twice or more than twice repeatedly in output. For example, 777. These are the 3 symbols have generated by this sample function, and this is possible because of this replace equal to t. So what does it mean? Out of the 7 symbols, first it has selected the number 7. So that is, out of these 7 symbols, first it has picked symbol 7. Randomly it has picked 7. So second time when it is going to pick at this position, okay, does this has to put this 7 there and need to select, or does not put the 7 back, is the point. If I say that replace equal to true, in the sense after selecting the 7, again the 7 is going to put here and again randomly it is going to choose one value. So when you do it randomly, there is a possibility that you can get again the 7. So there is a possibility to get 7 here once again. And again it's going to put here, and from the all symbols it's again going to pick one value, and there is a possibility to get 7 once again. This is possible when you put this replace equal to true. Whereas if you make this as false, don't replace. So never you are going to occur or get this kind of thing, because once it has picked this, so replace equal to false, 3 values it has to select. First it has selected 7. Second time what happens, this 7 is not going to put in the list. So obviously there is no chance to pick that 7 again. So it has to pick either this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one. So this is already over. So it may pick this BB. Once this is over, there is no possibility to pick that again. So it has to choose any one. So you may get DD. So when you keep this replace equal to false, there is no possibility to repeat the values. So when replace equal to false, the symbols are not going to repeat. But in our case, we wanted to get the symbols repeated way. So because of that, we are going to put replace equal to true. So if I want to execute these two statements repeatedly, I need to put these two statements into a function. We will see how we are going to put this. See this one. So here my function name is get underscore symbols. So this is a function, so that's why we are using this keyword function. Okay. Now what I am doing is that this symbols vector is passed and sample function is passed into this one. So ultimately this function is going to give me 3 symbols out of this 7 randomly with these probabilities. So our first task is done. What was our first task? Our first task was 7 symbols. Out of this 7, I want to pick 3 symbols randomly. So these were the 7 symbols, and randomly to pick, we are using the sample function, and size we kept it as 3 and repeat equal to true. So repeatedly the values 3 you are going to get. We are done with this first task. Let's go with second step. Now once we got these 3 symbols, we may get any combination. For that combination, what is the prize money, that we have to know. So for that one, they have already fixed some amount of money for some conditions, for some categories. So if we see, these are all the same symbols category. That is either D or 7 or any bar or C. If these 5 values in 3 places repeatedly if occurs, then this is the prize money we have to give. In the sense, out of 7, if 3 symbols are selected, if those 3 symbols are, if 3 are 3 Ds, okay, then we have to give 100 rupees. If 3 are 7s, we have to give 80. If 3 are triple Bs, then 40. For double Bs, 25. For single Bs, 10. And for cherries, 10. This is the first case. So once we got these 3 symbols, we have to check that one whether those symbols comes under this category or not. If they are not coming into this category, then the second category is all types of bars. That is, in this 3 symbols, triple B and double B and single B, 3 types of bars we have, and all these 3 appears in a single set. Then we have to give 5 rupees. So 5. Other than this, we have cherries, okay, and these cherries may occur in different way. That is, this portion is for 2 cherries, and here this star, you may get any other symbol. Either here you may get 7, you may get DD, or you may get single B or double B or triple B, whatever, any symbol you may get. But if you get the 2 Cs, 2 cherries, then you will be given 5 in any order. Okay? And if you get single cherry, then you will be given 2 points or 2 prize money. And ultimately, if you don't get any among this one, then you will be given 0. So, for any other combination other than these 3 combinations, you will be given 0. Once again, I'll repeat. Out of 7 symbols, we are going to get 3 symbols. In these 3 symbols, if same symbol is repeated thrice, then this is the prize money we have to follow. If all bars come, then this is the prize money we have to give. And if 2 cherries or 1 cherry, if we find, so these are the points we have to give. If no combination is followed in this one, then that combination is going to be given 0 value. So these are the conditions we have. Now we have to implement these conditions. Okay. So we have already seen the program that how to generate the 3 symbols, and those symbols are assumed that we have stored it in a variable called the symbols, and those symbols variable, using those symbol variable, we have to compute the value and how many points we are going to get. And the prize money is calculated in 3 cases only, that is for 3 same symbols or for 3 bars or for cherries. Only in these 3 cases you will be given money. Of course, we have some extra point. That point is diamonds or wild cards. This is an interesting point, have to remember. Wild cards. This is like jokers in our playing cards. Here, see the example. If you get in 2 places 7, okay, and in this place you got DD, diamond symbol. So here DD is wild card, that's nothing but a joker. So in playing cards, joker in the sense that is represented or that is filled as that symbol. So here this DD is assumed as 7 only, like this one, and it will be given the prize money of 777. How much amount is given for that 77? That's 80. So that 80 will be given here. This is the meaning of wild card. So in case you have 7 at one place and in 2 other places you have 2 DDs, then it is also treated it as 7 and given 80. This is the advantage of this wild card or joker kind of thing. Okay. For occurrence of each diamond, the score is doubled. This is another case we have to remember. So here you have been given this 80, and how many diamonds occurred, based on that diamond it is going to be doubled. In this case here, this 80 is doubled, so you will be given 160. In this case, this 80 is doubled twice, so 80 into 2, 160, and again 2, okay, 320, you will be given 320. So these are the conditions. So we will see the example of this one. 77DD, its price is considered as 120. How? So the reason is 77D is considered as 777 and its price is 80, and here we have DD once, so the amount has to be doubled once. So once we doubled that one, 80 into 2 will become 160. And if I see the 7DDD, the prize money will become 80 into 2 into 2, and it is going to be 320. And if 3 times DD you found, this we call it as a jackpot. So this is having 100 rupees, and for each and every D we are going to double the amount. So 100 into 2, 200 is going to become, so this will become 200. This 200 into 2 will become 400, and this 400 into 2 will become 800, and completely you are going to get 800 rupees if you get the diamond symbol thrice. So here how many cases we found? Okay, we found that first case is same symbols, second case is all types of bars, third case is number of cherries appeared, and the fourth case is number of diamonds occur. These 4 conditions we have to consider while we are computing the amount. Let us see how we are going to handle this thing. So the score computing. In previous step we have generated symbols, now need to compute the score based on the symbols. So as I told you, we have 4 steps to identify or need to consider while computing this amount. So it's going to be a complex task. So definitely we have to use the strategy, programming strategy. That programming strategy is break the task into simple tasks and use a concrete example, and finally you write the solution in English words so that you can understand it thoroughly. So here our entire task, that computing the amount for the symbols, are divided into 4 subtasks. First task is to check for the 3 same symbols. Second is check for the all bars. Third is check for the number of cherries available. And the fourth is how many number of Ds are available, that is diamonds are available. Like this, we are going to divide the task into 4 subtasks. And each and every task we are going to write a code. So sequential steps, if we see this entire project, first you have to get the symbols, second you have to display, and third you have to compute the score. This is in a sequential step by step. If we see it in parallel one, so here we are going to get the symbols, and so here we got symbols. We check here for same symbols. Here we check for the all bars. Here we check for the number of cherries, and even here further we can check for the number of diamonds. So once we got the symbols here, these symbols are fed into these conditions, and we know that the symbols may fall into any one condition only. Either they can be same symbols or all bars or cherries or something, okay, or else nothing, another condition, but not the all condition. So here these conditions are going to be appear in a parallel manner, and how we are going to achieve this one, we'll see that. So the steps we have written: check for the same 3 symbols and decide the prize money, check for all bars and decide the prize money, cherries, and has to check parallelly. So that is shown in this diagram. So here steps: check for the same kind of things, and if all bars are there, $5 assigned, otherwise you count the cherries. Parallel case. And finally go for the check for the count of diamonds and adjust the money. So this is how in a diagrammatic manner we try to understand what are the steps we have to perform. And this is a complete solution for this slot machine. Okay. Step 1, get the symbols. Okay. Step 2, display the symbols. Step 3, here you have to select among these 3, 1, and finally you have to find out the total amount by adjusting the diamonds. How many number of times the diamonds are appeared, and what is the how many times we have to double the amount, that we are going to finalize. So ultimate the final value here you are going to get the final amount we are going to get. So this is the way the sequential and parallel strategy we are going to use. So with this kind of symbols we are going to understand that we are going to divide the complex task into number of subtasks, and we are going to achieve one by one. Already we have written the code for this get symbols, a function we have written, and with the help of the print function we are going to display the symbols. Now the target is that how to compute this amount. So this part we have to, the 4 conditions it is showing, checking for the same number of symbols and all bars and cherries, and for the diamonds. These 4 we have to implement. So this is in English words I have written this one. Okay. First generate the symbols, show the symbols to the user, then computing the score is divided into 4 parts. That is, test whether the 3 symbols are same kind or not. For this one, look up the prize money for the above conditions and assign the prize money. Next is text whether the symbols are bars. For this, assign 5 as price. And count for cherries, calculate the price for cherries. Again, in this cherries, two possibilities are there. That is, you may get 2 cherries, you may get 1 cherry. If you get 2 cherries, the prize money is 5. If you get 1 cherry, the prize money is going to be 2. So again, the sub conditions, these are all. So this is how you have to write down the algorithm kind of thing. So this is the entire diagram how we are going to check this one. If this condition is true, I'll jump to this path. If the condition is false, I'll jump to this condition. I'll check here. If the condition is true, I'll go to this path. Yes, I'll come to this path, and finally I'll do this task, and ultimately I'm going to get this amount. So this is how the diagrams are going to be helpful to analyze the entire task. These are all you are going to learn it in software engineering subject. Now the point is that how these parallel cases we can implement. So we can implement these parallel cases using the if-else conditions. These if-else statements you have learned it in many other languages like C language and Java, okay, and Python. So the same way here also we are having this language. So this is the syntax for this if-else condition. So if a condition we are going to write the logical operator, okay, and if this is true, it is going to get into this block and this statement will be printed. Yes, this statement will be printed. So here we got the output is welcome because 1 less than 2 is true and it's true. So that is why it is entered into this block and this value is given as an output welcome. And you have to remember the point is that if the condition and this is the block and else this is the block. In these two blocks, only one is going to be chosen. This is the important point I have to remember. If the program entered into this block, then it won't check for this block. Directly it will come out of here. If the program does not enter into this block, then it will come to this block and it won't display this part. So either one part only going to be displayed. This is an important thing I have to remember. Okay. Let's see another example. If 10 equal to 10 less than 2, then print welcome, else 5 is greater than 10, go, then go away. So like this, okay. So multiple conditions, we call it as if else ladder. Okay. Multiple conditions I can write down. Okay. Now we'll see that how this is going to be used to develop the solution for this slot machine problem. So this is my skeleton of computing core. Here this is, we can call it as an algorithm kind of thing. If you read out, it's going to be very clear. I have divided it into two cases here, okay, and given this one. So case 1, all the symbols are same or not, okay, and case 2 is all bars are there, okay. If these two conditions, then we are going to do these things. Else I need to count for the cherries and need to compute the prize money, or else I have to compute the count of the diamonds and finally update the price. Like this, I have written my strategy, my steps to develop the program, and we are going to consider case by case and we are going to write the code for each and every case. So now instead of writing all the cases at a time, we'll focus one by one. So case 1, my case 1 is that check all the symbols are same or not. In the sense, I got 3 symbols, okay. So this is my symbol 1, this is my symbol 2 and this is my symbol 3, and I need to check that one whether this S1 is equal to S2 and S2 is double equal to S3. This thing I have to check, and this is not the only way to express, but ultimately what we need to do is that we have to check in this manner. You'll see that output, how we are going to write this code. We have different solutions series. So this is my first solution that says that one, the symbols is my vector and this is my first index value. First index value is equal to second index value, and operator I have used Boolean operator, and second symbol is equal to third symbol. In this case, the condition is true. It means that all 3 symbols are 7. So this is how I can able to use, or I can say that one symbol 1 should be equal to 2 and symbol 3 also going to be equal to 1. This is also fine. I can use this. Even further, I can go with all operators, and we have already seen this, how to use this all Boolean operator. So all is going to be used when all conditions are true, then only it is going to return true. And all true in the sense, okay, so here what I have done, if all symbols, here I am going to consider the 3 symbols. These 3 symbols are double equal to first symbol, okay, then it's true. So here what I am saying is that, see this example, these are the symbols and symbols of 1 is going to be 7 and here the symbol is 7, 7, 7. So this 7 is equal to 7, this 7 is equal to 7, this 7 is equal to 7. So it's going to return true, true, true. For the three values, it's going to give true. So if all true, then only it's going to be true. In case here, if I have 7, 7, B, in this case, what happens? First condition will be 7 is equal to 7. Okay, it's true. Second, 7 double equal to 7. Okay, it's true. But third one, 7 double equal to B. This is not true. So it's going to return false. So the all will get true, true and false. So ultimately all values are not true. So it's going to return false. This is also the one way to check whether all the symbols are same or not. And ultimately this is an interesting one. So here unique is the predefined function we have. This unique predefined function is going to return how many unique values are there. So if three symbols are 7, definitely the unique value is going to be 1. For example, here in 777 the unique value is only 1, we have 7. But in case 777B, here the unique values are going to be 2. One is 7 and another one is B. And if unique values are not 1, that is more than 1, then obviously the symbols are not same. So using that logic, I have used this one. Unique of symbols is equal to 1 and its length is, okay, 1. Because unique symbol must be only 1. If length is only 1, so then we can say that all symbols are same. So like this, even you can check or you can think of many conditions. So ultimately we have learnt that how to solve our first case, that is whether three symbols are same or not. With any one condition I can able to check out. Okay. Once I got the symbols, I have to put the symbols into any one condition and it's going to give me a result as true or false. If three symbols are same, it's going to give result as true, else it's going to give false. We'll go for the case 2. Okay. In this case 2, we have to check for all bars, different types of bars. We have 3 types of bars and we need to check that whether all these 3 bars are appeared or not. Okay. So for this one, we are going to use this logical operator. Okay. But this is not that much convenient because we need to check for many conditions. Okay. So the best way is that, okay, check that this is symbols in, okay, this in operator we are using and all bars, okay, and this all operator we have used. So how this works? Symbols in C of B, BB and BBB. This statement, when it is going to give true in the sense, if this symbols contains first B, then true, then this one and this one. If this symbols vector contains all these 3, then only it's going to give true for everything. If suppose this symbol does not contains this double B, okay, then it's going to give false. And in this situation, if I use this all TFT, then this all is going to return false. It means that all 3 bars are not available, are not possible, not in the symbol vector. So this is how the in operator is used to check whether all these 3 symbols are there or not, all bars. Okay. This is an interesting one. So with this one, we have identified the code part for the case 1 and case 2. Now we will check for this case 3 and case 4 later further. Okay. Now we will go for just assigning the prize money for these 2 points, that is for case 1 and case 2. Case 1 is 3 symbols are same, case 2 is all bars. If case 1 there is a prize money for different symbols, different way. Now the question is that how we are going to identify that amount money. Of course, if we use the if else condition, I can able to check, that is if all D's are there, then the prize money is equal to 100. If all 7s are there, it's 80. If all triple B's are there, it's 40. All double B's are there, 25. Single B's, 10. Like this I can put all conditions. This is something okay, disgusting and okay, so not clear. We have another concept called the lookup tables. So that lookup table concept you are going to get. This is similar to the dictionary in Python. So in lookup table, what's happening is we are mentioning clearly the item and value concept. This is the paired values we are going to put, item and value. So if I find DD, then its value is 100. If I find double B 3 times, its value is 25. If C, it's 10. If it is 0, the value is 0. Because as I said, 3 symbols are going to be same. So if I know one symbol, then I can identify the amount from this set, from this lookup table. So this we are calling it as lookup table. In this table, you have to look for a particular item. So the items are DD, 7, BB, triple B, double B and single B, C and 0. And corresponding values we have kept. For DD it's 100, for 7 it's 80, for triple B 40 and 25, 10 and 10 and 0. Like these pairs are available. This is almost similar to the dictionaries in Python. So see the explanation. Okay, amount DD returns the corresponding value is 100. Okay, along with the name DD. To remove the name, we have to use unnamed function. This is some extra information. When I want to access the value 100, the output I am going to get is DD 100. R will give you the name of the column, or I can call it as so name of the item. So if I want to remove this one, I have to pass this value to a function called the unnamed. If I pass this value to the unnamed, this DD is going to be removed and you are going to get this 100. And this is a simple trick to display a value in a simple manner. So see this code part for these 2 cases. So assume that our symbols are 777. Okay. If all symbols is equal to symbols of 1, I have used this way of conditioning. If this is going to be true, when this is going to be true, all 3 symbols are going to be same, then this all is going to return true. If this is true, I have defined my values, that is lookup table, my lookup table. From this one, I am going to pick the symbol, where the value is present in this symbols only. Symbols of 1 I said. So here the symbols are 7. So the first index value is this one. This is the first index and this is second index and this is third index. So symbols of 1 is going to be 7 and the amount of 7 is going to be this, it is going to be amount of 7 and this 80 is going to be return. So ultimately in price it's going to be 80. So first I checked for the condition, then I have looked for the value in this amount lookup table, and here this amount is my lookup table. Lookup table amount is, and under that one I have checked, so I got the value and that value is going to be stored into the variable price. And in second condition, again I used this in operator to check that whether all bars are available in symbol or not. If available, it's going to return all true. Then finally, so the all is going to give the true. If all is true, then the prize money is going to be 5. So up to here we have solved case 1, that is all symbols are same, and case 2, 3 bars. These two are parallel one, because either one condition is going to be possible, 2 conditions are not possible. So either this can be or this can be possible. Okay. So that we have checked with if, else if. Okay. If both are not true, then we will go for the third case, that is checking for the cherries. So now case 3, counting the number of cherries and finding the price. Now how to find the number of C's? So we have a function called the sum. To this sum, if I pass this symbols is equal to C. So how this is going to work? This symbols double equal to C. As you know, this is the logical operator, and logical operator is going to return true, okay, for the condition true. So if suppose I got the value is symbols is like this, DD and C and C, these are 3 my symbols. So if I use this condition, the output it is going to be false, true and true. It's going to give me, because for this C it's going to give me 1 true, and for this C it's going to give me second true, and for this DD it's going to give me false because it's not equal to C. And in R, these logical values are treated as numerical values only, and the numerical values T equal to 1 and F equal to 0. So here it's going to be 1, 1 and 0. Okay. So this is the advantage of the logical operator, because logical operator returns a logical vector, and logical vectors are converted it into numericals automatically. So if you pass this vector to the sum function, what will happen? 1 plus 1, it's going to give me 2. And ultimately I am going to get the 2 cherries. Very simple one. Okay. So this is all possible with this logical operator. So we have to thoroughly understand that how these logical operators are working. Okay. And the other 2 conditions here, if cherries is 2 equal to 2, then price is 5, else if cherries 1 equal to it's 2, else 0, the prize money will be 0. These are 2 sub conditions under this case 3. So here the code we have to understand is that how this sum and this logical operator is going to work together. So we'll put in another way the same thing. So here if we observe, we put the values in a vector, that is C of 0 to 5. What are these values? If cherries are 0, the amount will be 0. If 1 cherry, the amount will be 2. If 2 cherries, the amount will be 5. Okay. So, I can make this as a lookup table, that is 0 is equal to 0 and 1 equal to 2 and 2 equal to 5. So, if 0 appears, if 1 appears, if 2 appears, the values in a simple manner. And if I kept it in a vector, so the vector is going to be like this, 0, 2 and 5. And we know that the indexing starts from 1, 2, 3. So, depending on the index count, okay, the cherries count, you are going to get the values. So, here the possible cherries counts are, if cherry count is 1, you are getting 0. If cherry count is 2, you are getting 2. If cherry count is 3, you are getting 5. But in our condition, this is not the way, because there is a possibility to have the cherries only 0, 1, 2, not 3. Okay. So, the cherry can, this variable cherry can be either 0 or 1 or 2, you may get. But here the index is starting from 1. So, what to do? How to handle this situation? The simple solution is that if I put plus 1 here for every value, then the indexing is going to match. Assume that we don't have cherries, we got cherries 0. For that 0, if I add 1, 0 plus 1 will be 1, and this is going to be the index value, and the output is going to be 0. And assume that we got 1 cherry. Okay. Actually, for 1 cherry, we have to give 2 rupees, that is 2 points. Okay. And that 2 value is present in the index 2. So, this, if I have to match this one, what I have to do? I need to add 1. 1 plus 1 will be 2. So, the index value will be 2. You are going to get the 2. If I have 2 cherries, so the value will be 5, and that is present in the location 3. So, for this 2, if I add 1, the value will be 3, and I am going to get value 5. So, the point is that instead of using this if-else conditions, I can use these lookup tables easily, so that the code complexity will be reduced. But of course, the understanding part is going to be critical, but once you understood this one, then the coding is going to be very, very easy. We'll see that code. So, the case 3 solution. So, C of 0, 2, 3, and this index value is 1, 2 and 3, and this is the indexing 1 mine. Okay, these are the cherry values, and the possible cherry values are 0, 1, 2, and if I add this 1, it's going to be 1, and if I add 1, it's going to be 2, and if I add 1, it's going to be 3. So, the index value, if it is 0, that value 1 becomes, okay, and ultimately value will be 0, and if it is 2, this is going to look up here and it's going to be 2, and 3, this is going to look up for here and it's going to be 5. Ultimately, what is the output we expect? The same thing we are going to get. Okay. So, this is going to be like this one. C of 0, 2, 5, and indexing number of cherries plus 1. If number of cherries are 0, then here it is going to be 0, and plus 1 will be 1. So, C of 0, 2, 5 of, of 1, we'll say 1 in the sense the first index value, and this is going to be, so output will be 0, and C of 0 comma 2 comma 5 of 2, this is going to be, when I get this 2, if here I have 1, then this plus 1 will be 2, in the sense only 1 cherry. For 1 cherry we are offering 2 points, so the same answer we are getting. So this is the way we have to understand the things, this lookup table. This lookup table is going to be very helpful to easily implement such kind of things, that is assigning the values or looking for a specific value. Let's go further. The last step is to count the number of diamonds. So in our slot machine, we have already discussed that we divided that entire task into 4 cases. The first case was identifying whether all symbols are same or not. The second case is whether all symbols are comprised bars or not, all types of bars. The third case is that number of cherries count. The fourth is number of diamonds. Why we wanted to count these diamonds? Because we have already seen the condition that diamonds are treated as wild cards, and when you treated them wild cards, based on this number of diamonds, the prize amount is going to be doubled that many number of times. Suppose if the diamond is appeared 2 times, so the amount is going to be doubled twice, like we have seen that example. Okay. So here, for example, if 77D is considered, then 77 is 80 and DD appear once, so that 80 has to be doubled once. If DD appears twice, that 80 is going to be doubled twice, so the amount is going to become 320. This we have already explained. And how this is going to be implemented? So here the price is going to contain the value that is 80, and this 80 has to be doubled, so 80 into 2 you are going to get 160. If I want to make this as another time twice, okay, so I am going to use this to the power of 2. Okay. So this is how we are going to double the amount when based on the count of the diamonds. So here we have to mention that count of diamonds. So these 2 we are going to put it into a variable called the count of diamonds. We will see that code. See this. So before going to that one, a quick recap. Our complete task is 3 steps: generate the symbols, show the symbols, and compute the score. 3 points. And under this computing the score, check for same symbols, assign the price, check for all bars, assign the price, count the number of cherries, assign the price, and count the number of diamonds and adjust the price. Okay, this is case 1, this is case 2, and this is case 3, and this is case 4. Like this, we got 4 cases. The entire slot machine program without wildcard considerations. So now here some difficulty is arising when we are talking about the wildcard. Here wildcard case, in the sense you are going to get number of combinations, such as suppose if I take 7, there is a possibility to get 7 with single D and some other symbol here C, okay, and 7DD some other symbol B, 7DD and double bar, 7DD with triple bar, and 7DD with C, Like this, there is a possibility to get many number of combinations. And in this combination, I need to find out this combination, this and this, two combinations. In these two cases only, I am going to award the money. In all other cases, I am not going to award, because these are all not coming into any one condition. So now we should know that what are the all possible combinations. For this one, we have to understand how to use the loops. It's while loop and for loop, looping statements. Those are, we are going to learn it in next chapter. So for this topic, what we are doing is that we are just avoiding this part, that is the wildcard considerations we are avoiding, and we are implementing rest of the all cases. And this one case, this wildcard implementation, we will see it in the next chapter, next unit. Okay, so if we go on this programming code, the first part is going to be get the symbols. Okay, you are going to get the symbols, and if you write the print statement here, so print symbols, you are going to get the symbols. Okay, once you got the symbols, these symbols you have to pass it to the function called the score computing or compute score, and there it is going to check for the all these four cases, and finally ultimately it is going to give us the price amount. This is the possible code. So see this code. Okay, so I kept this all code into a function called the score, okay, and I am passing the symbols vector. The symbols vector contains three symbols which are generated randomly with the help of sample function. So once it got those three symbols, it's going to check for the conditions. This is case 1, this is case 2, case 3, and this is case 4. Excuse me. So in first case, it is selecting for the all, it is checking for the whether the symbols all are same or not. So all symbols are same, the price amount is going to be looked from this lookup table. This we are calling it as lookup table. Next, if that condition is not met, we are moving for the next condition, that is whether all bars are present or not. If present, the price amount is what? Then we are using the sum function and we are counting the cherries with the help of again a lookup table. Lookup table. We are checking for that. Okay. And ultimately again for diamonds also the same concept we have used. Sum symbol is equal to D. So how many diamonds are available? Okay. And based on that, we are going to find out we are going to double the prize money. Prize money into 2 and power of diamonds. If diamonds are once available, that power is going to be happen only once. If 2 times available, to the power of 2 it is going to happen. Let us see this one, how it is happening. So 7 DD7. So this is considered as 777, and the value for this one is 80. So here the price is 80. So 80 into 2, how many times DD appeared? DD appeared once. So 80 into 2 to the power of 1. So it's going to be 160. What happened? This 80 is multiplied twice with 2 only once. So let us see another example. 7 DD and DD. This is also considered as 777 and its value is 80. Now here, according to this statement, 80 into 2 to the power of 2. This 2 is number of DDs. So what will happen, this is 80 into 2 will be 160, and this 160 into again 2, it's going to be 320. So 2 times doubled the value 80. If you do one time, you are going to get 160, and if you go do it 2 times, it's going to be 320. So this is how it's going to work. And if you do for the triple D, in case of this one, so its value is, if you look up, it's going to be 100. Okay, and the DD appears 3 times. So 100 into 2 to the power of 3. 100 into 2 is going to be 200, and this 200 is multiplied 3 times. Okay, so 3 into 2 will be 2 to the power of 3 will be 800. How 200 into 2 will be 400, and again 400 into 2 will be 800. So this is going to be happen. So 2 power 3. This is 2 into 2 into 2. You're going to get. So with the help of this arithmetic operator, we simply implemented this one. So if we have good grip on usage of logical operators and Boolean operators and arithmetic operators, then lot many things we can perform easily. Okay, so with this we have done with this 4 cases. Let us see the output of this code. Okay, if I pass triple D, so then the output I got is 800. This entire code is executed in RStudio, okay, the IDE which is used for the R programming. So in the above program, we have missed to check the cases, like in 77DD. Okay, we are not considering that how many number of D's are available. Okay, that's the wildcard part we have not considered, because in program nowhere we have checked this condition. As I told you, we are going to see it in further classes. Okay, and come to the summary part. First step, we have talked about program development strategy, that is sequential strategy and parallel strategy. This parallel strategy, in the sense, multiple conditions are going to be checked, and in multiple conditions only one condition is going to be succeeded or true for our situation. So how we have to handle, and for that one we are going to use if else conditions. Then we have learned what is a slot machine and how to implement this one. Okay, I'll revise this entire slot machine once again. Okay, then we have seen this lookup tables and unnamed function in this one. If I quickly recap this slot machine program or project, we are having 7 symbols. Out of the 7 symbols, we have to randomly generate 3 symbols. Okay. Then for these 3 symbols, we have to compute the score. Broadly, the entire topic, the entire slot machine project is divided into 3 tasks. That is generating 3 symbols and computing the score. So once you generate the 3 symbols, when you are going to compute the score, you have to check for the 4 cases. Case 1 is all same symbols. You check for all symbols are same or not. Okay, this is the case 1. Case 2 is check for all bars. That is, we have three symbols, that is single B, double B and triple B. If these three symbols comes in at a single slot, that is okay, so and symbols, then we are going to give prize money 5. We need to check for this condition. Okay. And third condition is for number of cherries. If cherries are 2, then 5 points. If cherries are 1, then 2 points. So we need to check for these two things. Okay. And ultimately in case 4, we checked for the number of diamonds. Why these diamonds? Actually to double the amount, and of course this is only possible in this session. We have learnt that using this number of diamonds only for the symbols triple D, and you are going to get 800. And for rest of the other cases, wildcard entries, we have not coded that one, we have not programmed. We are going to do this program for in next sessions. Okay. So with this, we have learned that what is a programming strategy, how to use these if-else conditions, how to write, how to divide a complex task into different subtasks, and how one case by case how to write the program. These are all things we have learned with the help of one program or one entire project called the slot machine. And further we are going to see a better version of this slot machine, which includes wildcards also. Thank you for watching.